Hello, eighth graders. I hope your virtual learning day is treating you well. Hopefully, you got a chance to sleep in a bit and now you're going to have some fun in ELA. Yay, mini lesson time. Going to try to keep this as normal as possible, like we do in class. So, you should have your notebooks home with you, hopefully. If you could get out your ML section of your notebook and copy down the date and the title of this first lesson of our new unit called Investigative Journalism. So each of you are going to become a journalist. This sounds interesting, exhausting, exciting, depends on who you are. But our eventual goal is to do some research and work more on that argumentative writing skill that you started to develop in your 5-paragraph essays and the debate. But you're going to get to choose your topic for writing this time, which some of you might be more thrilled about than writing about NCAA athletes. So as we do these lessons, sometimes I'll have you write some notes. A lot of times, though, it's jotting out ideas, brainstorming, and trying to develop our ideas to get to our final product for this unit. And your final product, you're going to write your own current events article of a topic of your choice. It's going to be an interesting article. It has pictures, charts, and various sections to it, and it should turn out well, I hope. With each of these lessons that I conduct, you will have to complete an exit ticket in Schoology. So make sure after you view each of these lessons and you've jotted some thoughts in your notebook that you go to Schoology and complete whatever I'm asking you to do for the exit ticket. That's part of the work that I'm checking to make sure that you're participating in these days. So let's get started with this first lesson. So as I kind of mentioned already, we'll be completing a writing unit on journalism, and journalists are known to be the most read writers in the world. That means they read a lot, they're very good readers, they write well, they articulate their ideas well. So you're really going to develop your reading and writing skills a lot through this unit. And you do have some knowledge of how to write in third person from your essays and debates, and you're developing that skill further in this unit, really focusing on that third person writing, which is the type of writing you're going to do for most of the rest of your education. Rarely will you write in first person perspective unless you're doing sorts of journaling for future classes. So writing in third person perspective is going to be a very important skill for you. So in this lesson today, I want to teach you that journalists notice small life dramas and they try to capture what we call the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why of those dramas, so they can turn them into newscasts. So newscasts are like small news stories that journalists develop. So for example, if you watch CNN 10, each of the stories within those 10 minutes would be considered a newscast. So they present some information about a topic, tell it from third person perspective. To start out with brainstorming your first idea for your first piece of writing, I want you to think about interesting events you have observed in your life. Could be something you just observed, or it could be something that you were part of directly. Either or works. So I want you to choose one that sticks out in your mind. So if you're kind of thinking, what are you talking about? Some things you could draw from ideas is thinking about sports events you have either observed or been a part of. So maybe ones you've seen or been a part of in middle school. Maybe you viewed some high school sports, you have a sibling who was in one, or just like to attend those. Maybe something exciting or interesting happened at a game, like basketball or football or volleyball. Or maybe you went to a professional sporting event, like an NBA game, NFL, even a college level game, some sports events that was memorable to you. Or maybe you think of instead a special school event, maybe a play you saw or were a part of, concerts, talent shows, that minute to win it competition, either this year or previous years, if something about that stuck out in your mind, any of the assemblies we attend, or maybe even the homecoming parade. I know that can be a fun event for people. Other examples of an event you could choose to focus on for this lesson: special days in your life. holidays, birthdays, special awards you got, maybe a family vacation you went on and some moment stuck out in your mind. Um, or you could do just funny moments from your life. We all have those things that happen in our life, like embarrassing moments or very, very special events that just stick in our minds. Maybe something in the last year or two that sticks out to you, a funny moment with friends or family. Can be anything, just needs to be memorable. If you think of any other observed moments in your life that stick out that don't fall in these categories, those could work too. So try to think of an event, a moment in your life. And ideally, that moment's going to be an hour or two of time at most, no more than that. So once you have that moment, that event in your life, that's ideally an hour or two, I want you to consider the 5 W's I mentioned as the teaching point. So journalists really try to focus on that when they are describing an event to their audiences. So if you could jot these 5 W's into your notebook too for your notes for this lesson. So who, what, when, where, and why. And you will use these questions to help you complete the exit ticket for this lesson as well. Okay, so where are we going with this? Once you have your event, you jotted out the 5 W's, you're going to detail those more in a little bit. This is where we're going with it. So it's a writing unit on investigative journalism. Eventually, you're going to choose a debatable current events topic that you have personal experience with. So a debatable topic is one like the NCAA athlete debate. There's not a simple answer to it. There's valid reasoning on both sides to it. There's not necessarily this is the right idea or opinion or this is the wrong opinion. It varies from person to person. These topics, too, are something that could be researched as well. You could look up sources online and get other people's perspective, or it might be something that's tied to data and statistics. You can find numbers with it. An example of this is the topic, are people too wired? So you should have read that article before you did this lesson. You saw 2 different perspectives on that topic. Both of those authors of that article presented valid reasoning. And so that's a debatable topic. That's eventually where you're going to go with this newscast. So you want to try to choose something that pertains to that. In the past, I know this isn't always clear to students. If it's kind of confusing right now, don't stress too much. We'll get there, I promise. Okay. So today's task, you're going to start to write about an experience you observed or were a part of. You're going to write in third-person perspective. So even if you were a part of the action, you're going to write about yourself in third person, not I did this, but like in my example below, Johnny Smith. Johnny Smith did this. So you want to choose an event that hopefully pertains to a debatable topic. So for example, on Monday, February 25th, Johnny Smith was observed playing an online game on his smartphone outside the middle school gym at 3:05 p.m. This is just one case where teenagers appear to be addicted to their phones. So this would be the start of a newscast tying to the topic, the debatable topic of, are people too wired? And eventually you're going to turn this into your first homework assignment. That is part of your activities for today, newscast number 1, and this is going to be completed in Schoology. And you'll have to write 1 page that's double spaced on this. Okay, so if you're thinking about, I don't know, a debatable topic, here are some ideas to get you thinking a little bit more. So it should be a topic that can be researched and reported on. So there's other people's viewpoints out there. There's experts on this topic, could be researched. Ideally, it should be something that's community-based, so relevant to people here at Random Lake is the ideal. So you have some personal experience with it. If that doesn't make sense to you, or you can't think of a topic that's close to home, community-based, it's not the end of the world. But ideally, that's a topic that I would like you to choose. So I've got some bullet points here of possible topics that people have done in the past that work well as debatable topics and people can make arguments about for their final current events article. So take a look at any of these. Maybe one of them stands out to you. If you want to use one of these and use that as a starting point for your newscast, great. If you think of something else that might work, feel free to go with that too. And I can always touch base with you and tell you if I think it's going to work or not. All right, so in your notebook, I want you to copy down this chart with who, what, when, where, and why. Think about your event you had in mind at the beginning of this lesson. Does it tie to a debatable topic? If it did, great. If not, pick one of those debatable topics. Think about what's some personal experience I have with one of those, and try to think of a story you could tell of an event you were a part of with that topic, or maybe you just observed something with that topic. Think about the example I detailed with Johnny Smith. So you might want to pause the video at this point. Think, what's my event? How is it tied to a debatable topic? And then start to list the 5 W's about it: who, what, when, where, and why. List as much as you can in each of those categories. Okay, you are going to use that for your exit ticket that I'm reviewing too. So take a little bit of time to do that. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Here's an example of where you could go with this. Okay, this would be your goal that you're working towards for your assignment due for Thursday. So I chose an event, detailed some things with who, what, when, where, and why. And then this would be the start of a newscast, writing in third person, detailing that event. And the topic, the debatable topic I'm focusing on, is caring for others in the community. It's not necessarily debatable, but it's something that's community based and I can make a viewpoint out of. Tuesday evening, a teenage boy at the Plymouth Walmart location noticed an elderly lady struggling to get into a parking spot as he was entering into the store. He noticed people entering and exiting the building without looking at traffic. They were more concerned about not being blown away than paying attention to traffic. People kept walking in front of her, left and right, in and out of the store, so she couldn't move her car. Then all of a sudden, a young teenage boy noticed this problem and darted out into the crossing area in front of the main doors, held his arms out, and stopped all movement around the front entrance. He moved in front of her car and safely directed her to an empty parking space nearby. Notice how this is written in third person perspective. I'm detailing it using narrative technique, but I am retelling this experience that I saw as I was going shopping. And I noticed this boy doing this. So this is an observed event written in third person, but still using narrative technique to describe it. Okay, so that is your goal that you are working towards eventually. Your first step, though, is to complete this exit ticket that you should find in Schoology in today's virtual learning activity folder. It's called IJ, Investigative Journalism Lesson Number 1, Exit Ticket. And you're going to use that exit ticket, use the 5 W's to assist you in writing that one-page newscast that's not due till Thursday. So go ahead, you can go into Schoology and find that and complete that. If you want to pause the video for a moment, you can. And I'll have a couple things to wrap up. Okay, then to finish out the work for today, you can get a start on the assignment, newscast number 1. That's found in Schoology. It is not due until Thursday, though. But if you have some ideas going, you can get a start with that once you've completed that exit ticket. So what you want to do is write the best true story you can. It's any topic you've observed or one relating to the topic, are we too wired? So if you're struggling with this right now, you can't think of your own topic that you care about, I'll let you steal that topic because I feel like everyone's had some experience with that. You'll eventually take parts of this newscast to make your current events articles. So the writing you're doing right now or newscast number one, ideally I want you to use it for your final writing piece. So try to choose a topic you care about that's meaningful, because you're going to make a little less work for yourself later on. Okay, that's my goal with this. You want to focus on 1 to 2 small moments you actually witnessed. So you might focus on one scene in this event that you observed, and that's all you do for the first newscast. It's possible that this event is longer, and then you can use a second part for the next assignment in this unit. Something you want to keep in mind is what would Carl Azuz say if you watch CNN 10 during AR any other time? So take on his voice as you are writing this. In your writing, some guidelines for constructing this. You want to write an introduction for your news story. So use some of those techniques we've talked about, probably using strong description to start with, hook the reader right to start with. Use transition words, then, next, etc., to tell how things happened. Make sure you elaborate, use details to help the readers picture the news story in their minds. And try to think of a way to write a conclusion, wrap up your event with a final thought in the last sentences. And remember to focus on answering those 5 W's that you completed for the exit ticket, and use third person only. Even if you are part of these events, you talk about yourself in third person, please. And use past tense verbs as well. So this was an event, it occurred, it's over with, it's done. You use past tense. And then finally, it's again 1 page, it's typed, it's double spaced, 12-point font. I do have it set up that way for you though in the Schoology document, so it's tied to a Google Doc like you've used before. So if you have any questions, feel free to message me. You can email me, or probably the best way is to message me through that Google Hangout application that I went through in class, and I will do my best to help you accomplish this. Good luck.